Well, definitely, as we are winding up the week as entrepreneurs, I normally take this personally on my side. I take this as a chance for you to get back and reflect onto the week's business transactions, the week's business activities. How have they transpired? What has been, what haven't I done right? What was I supposed to do that I didn't do? Now, for this inspiration moment today is going to guide you in line with that, such that as you get back home over the weekend, think about these business tips and quotes. Remember, like I normally say, these are entrepreneurs that have gone ahead of us in the world of business. There are mistakes they made that they never wish this generation would also make when it comes to running business. But if we don't listen to them, we might make mistakes that might take us back a generation. Let's get into this moment. Well, somebody mentioned something in our very past business tip about get rid of the distractions and temptations that normally come your way. Masi, I mean, when you look at this, in your own opinion, what are some of those distractions and temptations that come along people that are running their businesses?
Well, of course, I would say firstly, opinions.
Opinions. Yeah.
Because everyone has an opinion about
something.
How you should run your business, how you should conduct yourself. So some may be good, some may be bad. So you as a person, you have to know what you have to take in. Okay, everyone will tell you what they feel, what they should do, but filter,
and what is
what is necessary for you. And maybe another thing I would say would distract people, friends,
relatives.
Friends and relatives, they kind of distract you. Mostly friends, actually. Mostly if they're not in line with what you're doing, in line with your business, your organization, or they tend to distract you. And you find you're into a company of people that earn differently from the way you earn. You cannot compare yourself with certain people. You have to know and relate, because now if you're an adult, you started working, you have to associate with people in line with your career, your business. Okay,
absolutely.
These other friends we have come in later, maybe over the weekend, you go have a drink, but on a daily, please talk to people that add value into your life, that can speak sense to you.
You're very right on that. Actually, when you get to do an analysis among us, at some of the most successful people the world has seen, they are considered to be nerds. They call them nerds because people feel like these people are it's hard to understand them in the first place. Why? Because it comes a point whereby you know that this wealth I'm holding, first of all, you owe responsibility to the entire world. Because the reason why you were able to even, first of all, accumulate this wealth is because you are solving sensitive societal problems. You know, so a person with such a huge responsibility, their thought pattern changes. That the decisions they make are beyond emotions. They're not about what is my my child going to feel about this? What is my wife going to feel about this? What is my brother going to feel about this? But you make a decision because it is the right thing to do, and that's why they are considered to be nerds at times.
Yeah, so those are some of the reasons I could give why people get off focus.
The distractions, why they lose the focus.
They lose the focus, you know. Avoid some things. Well, of course, so someone once told me actually, I think this is something I've actually lived on since then when I was doing internship way back. You know, and he told me it's better to be prepared with no opportunity than to have an opportunity when you're not prepared.
It's better to be prepared
than have no opportunity. Than have an opportunity yet you're not prepared.
Okay, you're absolutely right on that.
Yeah, I think I've lived by that since then. I'm always prepared. I have my CV right. I have my papers right. I am fully ready to attack. Yeah.
But that's how life is supposed to be. I mean, there are times when these opportunities come. That's why sometimes when you're doing something, it's like how somebody says that, for example, why would you... Okay, this is a casual example, but it relates in all sectors, in all aspects of life. It's like if you're waiting to clean your house when you know that your friend is coming. That's when you think about cleaning your house. But what if you cultivate a lifestyle of being clean? So it same applies to culture. Why would you, for example, way back in school, you read because it's 2 weeks to examinations. But what if you cultivate a reading culture whereby it is part of you? Whether the exams are done, you will still go back and read because you feel like you find pleasure in obtaining knowledge. And because when you have this is what sets people apart in terms of distinctions and their thought patterns. Because the more you get knowledge about something or anything, it definitely puts you apart when it comes to the decisions you make, and also when it comes to knowing when to invest, what to invest, and who to invest and who to partner with. I mean, so many of those perspectives, but they all come with cultivating a lifestyle of something, preparedness all the time. All right, now heading into our discussion of the day, dissecting Uganda's import and export volume. Of course, we saw something in line with the deficits that we really incur there, because our export trade is estimated at $8.4 billion vis-a-vis, import. We import 8.5, that is as of 2023, compared to the export of $5.4 billion. That leaves us with quite a huge deficit there. If you do the math, what is the remainder that way? But we are so advantaged, by the way. As you can see clearly, one of the reasons why we had poor performance was the impact of the gold export dispute, because gold exports generated zero revenue in the financial year 2021, 2022.
Quite absurd.
Yeah, due to over levy on gold exports with which the refineries were contesting about. By the way, they took some time passing those levies on gold in line with that. Because I remember with unrefined gold, there was a levy of about 5%, unrefined gold about 10%. So you can see, actually refined 10%, unrefined 5%, line with that. And now, of course, gold had brought more than $5.5 billion in terms of revenue in the last 5 financial years. That is from 2018, 2019, before these regulations came in. And this is really explaining big. But you see, Mercy, I realized something so interesting. Do you know that when we left the African Growth Opportunity Act AGO, that market first of all, even when we lost it, it wasn't effective, by the way, at all.
It wasn't effective. No.
Yeah, it wasn't effective.
You can see how we've been actually performing with the European Union.
Yeah, we had quite something positive.
Yeah. So I think it's about being strategic enough. Much as we may not be, we could not be participating in other like AGOA, we are still benefiting from. So we could actually produce more for Europe. Yeah. What we had to export in the US, we could actually do export to Europe. Yeah.
Europe.
Because that is where there is, at least there is an exchange. Yeah, more exchange.
That is absolutely right. And of course, even when you check into the AGOA, because most of the benefits that we are benefiting from that were through textile, but there was nothing recorded that even before we are struck out of the African Growth Opportunity Act, there was still nothing we are benefiting. Maybe it was benefits were from a few individuals probably, and whom we consider corrupt individuals, but that wasn't really a big deal because we saw clearly how we are able to register a trade surplus of 1.5 billion euros with Europe, for the past time. Now, of course, if we take a look at the regional trade dynamics here, COMESA has been the biggest consumer of Uganda's exports, 17 years since financial 20, that is 2006 and 2007. And Uganda has imported most from Asia in the last 20 years. That is in the starting since financial 2003 and 2004, with China being the preferred trade destination. Since financial 2016-2017, and of course we know that China, when they are manufacturing, they manufacture the first class, second class, and the third class.
So it has all varieties.
Varieties, and it explains why part of our exports, the quality issue has been quite a big stuff here, because even the raw materials we import in here to manufacture are not of the best quality. That's why when we saw the industrialization plan for 2024, part of the key aspects were in line with, away from just providing employment to the people, but there was a desire for these industries to also start manufacturing the raw materials which we have been exporting. So it's more like an import substitution strategy, which is being done out there. And I'm grateful for the Uganda Development Corporation. This is part of their key lines for you to support, like when it comes to supporting, local farms, local factories, you have to be dealing in local raw materials. Now, if we take a look at the trade deficit and composition in the country, Uganda, Uganda exported goods valued at 5.4, like I mentioned in there, that is in 2022-2023, and imported goods worth 8.5 billion, which were imported in the same period. Now, this is a deficit of 3.1 billion that is in the general. But if we can have a surplus of 1.5 billion euros with our trade with Europe, that can kind of offset the 3.1 billion by 0.5%. So our trade deficit can still get back to about 1.5% if we keep that constant. And now, of course, seeing that exports have risen by $2.4 billion in the last 5 years. That's the only increase we've been able to get in the last 5 years. And we've seen that exports have gone at a lower rate of just 1.5 billion in that line. So there is still much more to do when it comes to export trade. But you see, Marcy, there is also another issue that is, I'm thinking too much. For example, like we are looking at the aspect of the Hass avocado, saying that why do we attract foreign investors to come and exploit this? And before you know it, the profits are repatriated back, because even when they give our local Ugandans jobs, they're given little pay, money that they can hardly rely on. Vis-a-vis, because if you talk about, I understand the economy might be a little bit hard, which is okay, but if you can compare the money that is taken out of this country in terms of profit repatriation, and you try to relate to it with the salary bill that these factories give to the workers, the ratio might be 7-1. There is no quite a balance in line with that, and that is quite very disturbing. Now, talking about agriculture, because we know that our economy is predominantly more of an agriculture economy, but like I said, I made a statement in the previous segment when I say that we produce too much, but when it comes to the export game, we lose it out. And the reason is, they're what we call post-harvest losses. post-harvest losses. Because first of all, we have our storage facilities as the country Uganda. We cannot sustain them for a long. No, there is a logistic challenge in that way. That's why there is a strong urge that we can focus on. First of all, satisfying the East African market, because the logistics cannot favor us to probably transport some of these agricultural materials. Now we're talking about vegetables, fruits, anything in line with horticulture, transporting it from distant locations. For example, you're taking it to Europe, you're taking it to the United States of America, or even Asia. So by the time they're in the transit, they're already getting bad. And those are what we call post-harvest losses, which have contributed to our agriculture economy not being in position to supply to us. Tanzania exports fruits equivalent to $700 million. South Africa, we are talking about, I think, $20 billion, over $20 billion. For us, our export game is only $35 million. I mean, it's not even 10% of what Tanzania exports. Yet we produce more. We have two rainy seasons, and but the post-harvest losses are really costing us big. And also, I feel like our farmers too, most of them, because when we talk about export markets, markets like Europe are very sensitive to quality, because once you deliver a commodity today and it's not of the same quality they consumed last time, you are definitely going to cover up. I mean, you're going to be put off. So there is need to sensitize farmers, and most of our agriculture, most of these exports are relying on what we call smallholder farmers, because some of these farmers don't have enough money to maintain the quality, because they need to be told when to irrigate, they need to be told when to spray, how to use the pesticides, such that you keep the. It's like if you've eaten the Kentucky Fried Chicken, it tastes the same everywhere you go. The quality is the same. Why? Because those chickens are fed a certain way, and it should be the same. So coming back to our smallholder farmers, they are not able to sustain that consistency, that they can't sustain that perfection to head to, and it's due to various reasons, because lack of money and the fact that some are also used to. They have a mindset of subsistence, and now the commercial perspective is just coming in.
Well, of course, talking about that matter regarding agriculture, I realized one thing actually. The most people that do not get out of it are actually farmers. Yeah. Actually, farmers, they're the huge contributors, but then they get less out of it.
Less out of it, absolutely.
Look at someone will tell you raw coffee goes up 200 shillings. 200 shillings. And look at milk. Someone is going to buy probably a liter at 200 shillings. 200 shillings.
A liter.
So how much do you think? How much is that a person going to get? 200 shillings.
So can we say some of them are discouraged because they get less when they are producing some of these?
Because they have to invest. How much profits do they get?
Okay.
Yes. So that is where the problem is all. It's also about. So they are discouraged. Yeah. Even fine, they give them the seedlings and all that, but then there has to be improved mechanisms, of agriculture. Yeah, to increase productivity in, on how for crops to yield faster. Yeah. So much as we talk about agriculture being the forefront of Uganda, I don't think government has really invested heavily enough. Yeah, because if you're planning to convince that woman in Tungamu in Kabare because they have plenty of land to do commercial agriculture.
Yeah.
How much have you invested in them?
How much have you invested in them?
Yeah, to make sure that they have what is enough. Okay, because you have to actually also consider pests. Yeah, you need to give them pesticides.
Pesticides, yeah.
The seasons are interchanging. Yes, you have to think of ways. So it's a lot. It's really a lot if we're talking about investing in agriculture, which I'm not saying.
And just to add on your point, it now brings me back to this perspective of, like we've seen in Tanzania and in other countries where there is a direct coordination of, first of all, the government, the private sector, and the development partners. And that is still a bit lacking in here. You find that because government support is not reliable enough. And by the way, government is not supposed to support you. It's supposed to just, the only support it's supposed to give you is policy. Convenient climate, convenient policy in terms of taxation and all that. But when it comes to the aspect of funding, because the finances seem to be the big issue here, because now some of these farmers probably they lack training. And now what does that mean? Because we have limited extension workers who can really do this training. And well, if these extension workers are even there, but is there money to pay them? Because they also command a high pay and all that. So I feel like it's need for our governments to get serious when it comes to attracting private equity from foreign bodies, from foreign organizations. And this private equity will be very vital in investing in key sectors like agriculture. And now, I mean, because I imagine my brother down there in Barara, I mean, being given the courage to actually participate in this, because first of all, he's earning an income for himself and is also contributing to the country's export volume. But why? Because he's exploited in terms of when they come to purchase this commodity, like what you've just mentioned. And perhaps he also lacks enough skill of knowing how do I need to spray? How do I need to treat this crop that it can be vital for the export market?
Because I'm thinking, who determines the price?
Of course, no. Actually, there are factors that determine the price of it. We don't even have a say in terms of saying that this is what we operate. We don't have that yet.
So, as a farmer, I cannot determine the price.
No, as a farmer, you determine. But okay, I'm trying to mean from the export perspective. Now you're taking them out there. But of course, as a farmer, you can read the price. But it would be better if we have a gazetted, a specified price on which these farmers should get, because it explains why even sometimes some people in the innovation space they decided to get rid of what we call the middlemen, whereby they grow their food and they supply direct to the different hotels, because these middlemen come, exploit the farmers, and they go sell to these hotels at a very expensive price. So it's the very perspective whereby, and if I'm not empowered as a farmer to give me more money, how am I going to have money to mechanize? How am I going to get money to think of buying a little tractor or hire a tractor to till my land and I grow more output? So that means the little money you've given me, I'm just going to use it with my family, and before you know it, I go back to the mind of subsistence. So with that, it explains why agriculture has been, their efforts to really revive the sector. But if we don't deal with these matters from the household, the lower farmers hold, can I call it the farmers hold, the lower farmers, the village farmers, perfecting their craft in terms of provision, finances, and the required facilities for them to put out the necessary output to be exported, then we are just talking empty. Can I call it empty talk, which won't have any impact to agriculture? But well, that is what is happening with Uganda's export and import market. And of course, we are seeing how this can be boosted, and of course, several factors which are lying in that. But what you need to understand here is that agriculture, mining, and energy, those are the key contributors when it comes to the export volumes of this country, Uganda. So how best can you position yourself as a citizen to participate into this? First of all, promoting on the export volume, and also improving your personal livelihood as a person through the income that you earn. Well, let's take a quick break for now. And of course, we are returning with the sports and business and entertainment. Stick around.
Smart 24, driving business. Rachel!